Well, good evening, Dad and Lad podcast listeners and viewers. Thanks for joining us tonight. It has been a whirlwind few days, not only because of our trip down to Atlanta, but then obviously the football game and then everything that's happened since. We've had 4 days since the conclusion of our season, and every day there's been something. And I'm tired already, and the off season just started. So, want to talk about a few things tonight as far as what our experience was at the national championship game. Talk about the game a little bit. Also talk about our thoughts, and then talk about some things that have happened the last few days in the Notre Dame landscape. But before we get there, if you could, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe or click that like button so our videos show up in your algorithm. We have about 27 subscribers on YouTube right now, and we have a goal of hitting 100 by the end of February. So if you could share this with your friends, share this video to your feeds, get those folks to subscribe so we can get some more people to join us on the Dad and Lad podcast. If you're on Facebook, make sure you give us a like, a follow. We got about 160 followers on Facebook now. Give this video a share. And finally, if you're listening to us via podcast, make sure you give us a rating, a 5-star rating, and that way we can spread the word of what the Dad and Lad podcast is all about. We talk Notre Dame football, a dad and his lad, but we also talk about what it's like to experience Notre Dame football as a father and a son. So, Micah, overall, let's talk a little bit about our journey to the college football national championship game in Atlanta. We did not have tickets. We didn't get tickets in the lottery. But I said, you know what? Let's just go down and see. I have some family that lives about 2 hours east of Atlanta. So we were able to drive down there Sunday and crash for the night. And then we took off about 10 o'clock Monday morning to head down to Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Micah, my first thought was that I was really hoping to wear jeans and a t-shirt, and instead we're wearing heated socks, heated jackets, winter hats. It was a high of 28 degrees. It was miserable. When we arrived at the stadium, what were you thinking?
It was huge. Like compared to other college stadiums I've been to, probably the tallest stadium I've ever seen. And that Mercedes-Benz logo is huge.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was an awesome venue. One of the things that I was really excited about when you arrived there was everything there. Like literally in that little circle where that's at, everything in Atlanta is there. You have State Farm Arena where the Hawks play. You have the Koch Museum, the College Football Hall of Fame, the Atlanta or Georgia Aquarium, which is one of the best aquariums in the world, in our opinion. We've only been to like 3, but that's definitely the top one on our list. What else was right there that I'm forgetting? Obviously all the hotels and everything, but
there's one hotel that had a huge national championship banner
on like every window on the exterior of the hotel. It made the championship trophy, and then just a real neat design. We'll share a picture of that in the coming weeks. What else stood out to you around there?
They had like a lot of fan zone stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. We went to this thing
indoors, mind you.
Yeah, it was indoors. The national championship trophy was there. They had like field goal kicking stuff. There was one. Remember that? I don't remember what those are called.
Pedal carts?
Something like that.
They had pedal carts.
They had like pedal cart races and stuff. 40-yard dash.
I really, really, really wanted to get loose and show somebody a 40-yard dash that they haven't seen before, but I know I'd tear something. Those days are long gone. I beat you. Just so you know. Just so you know.
You can think that. They had a college football playoff merch shop, and I think that's what it was. And they had like this area where you could like that iPad goes around you, kind of like what those. I don't know if you guys have seen the Brian Kelly video.
The most ridiculous video we've seen the last 3 years, honestly. Dancing with his recruits. Same premise. One of the things that stood out to me in that fan zone, they had like the last 10 national championship uniforms on display. What are they, mannequins? I guess they're on mannequins. And it was just cool to see, those uniforms up close for the last 10 years, which is really only like 4 teams, but whatever. You get the idea.
Still pretty cool.
They also had some really cool merch. So like historical merch. So they had a lot of autograph things from Joe Montana, Rocket Ismail, Jeremiah Usu-Cormoa. Obviously
Kyle
on the
Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton. The list goes on and on. Mini helmets, which I'm starting a little mini helmet collection myself. I did not partake. I should have. And then obviously all the Ohio State legends. They had a lot of autograph things from them as well. The national championship like sponsored hoodie, right? Or was it? It was the hoodie. What was it say? Bound for Atlanta or something like that.
A-Town Bound.
A-Town Bound. And it was really cool. In Notre Dame colors or Ohio State colors at the cool price of $120, basically.
For a shirt.
So
Not a sweatshirt.
we don't spend that kind of money on hoodies unless it's a true national championship winning hoodie.
Well, again, it was a T-shirt too.
Oh, it's just a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Man, go figure. So anyway, that was all indoors, really nice break. So we spent a lot of the morning and early afternoon kind of making our rounds around the stadium. Again, we didn't have tickets, so we were just hoping to find somebody who had some. One thing from breakfast on Monday until lunch on Monday, ticket prices tripled. So if they were $1,500 at breakfast, they were $4,500 at lunch, and just blows my mind. So once we saw those prices going around, we knew it was kind of a wing and a prayer that we were going to score some tickets. We made some contacts with people we know from the South Bend area who were down there, just to say, hey, keep an eye out for us if you hear of any tickets. So it wasn't just our four eyes looking around, but nevertheless. There was also a ESPN fan zone, which was for ticket holders only, but you could tell the party was going on down there. One thing with the temperature and the cold, I think it kept a lot of people in their hotel rooms. So it really wasn't until 4:30 when the gates opened.
That's when it got like busy.
That's when it got crazy. And at that point, we kind of threw in the towel on getting tickets, and we were freezing cold. That led us to our next experience, and that's where we landed. We ended up getting invited by the Notre Dame Alumni Club of Atlanta to join them at a restaurant just about 20 minutes north of town for a watch party. The venue was called Taco Mac. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of tacos. It was more American and a few tacos. But from what I'm gathering, the owner of the restaurant is a Notre Dame alum and the president of the Alumni Club of Notre Dame in Atlanta. So we walked in, unbeknownst to us. Thankfully, we got there a little early so we could warm up and get a seat. And you could already tell the venue was going to be chock full of Notre Dame fans. And as things progress up until game time, it just filled out more and more and more. And it was literally wall to wall Notre Dame fans. We'll have an example in a little bit, but it was like watching a game at Notre Dame Stadium. We were doing the cheers, we were doing the dances, the chants. It was so much fun.
They did push-ups too.
And they're doing push-ups. Do we get video of the push-ups? No, but yeah. People were doing push-ups. If you didn't know the tradition, every time Notre Dame scores a touchdown, students and whoever, they do push-ups up in the stands for however many points they have. So again, we were just really excited to sit down for a meal, warm up, and then really lock in for the evening. Before we get into the game and what happened there, just want to remind you in a little bit, we'll have a segment called A Wee Bit Inquisitive, where we'll take your questions, comments, and anything that you guys want to know about our experience at the national championship game. You can just put it in the chat, and we'll bring that up later and talk about that. So, Micah, let's get into the football game. My butterflies are going crazy. I can't stop shaking my legs. Again, an unhealthy obsession with Notre Dame football that I have. Micah, you're much more of level-headed emotionally. I think you get that from your mother. Okay, yeah. So we're leading into kickoff. Again, even on the kickoff, there's probably 300 of us in this restaurant, all Notre Dame fans, getting the O thing going and a Go Irish on the kickoff.
I got a video of that.
I don't have it on here, but I do have. Well, we'll talk about it in just a second. Do have a good video. So we get the ball first, and that first drive, beautiful. 18 plays. How many minutes was that? It was like 9 or 10 minutes long. 18 plays. Riley Leonard just shoving it down Ohio State's throat. And man, we scored. First of all, the place erupted, and I was like, we cannot lose this game.
9 minutes, 45
9
seconds,
minutes,
by the way.
45 seconds. Thank you. And when we scored, this was the video I was going to share with you. Again, this was so much fun just to be a part of this. Again, we want to thank the Notre Dame Alumni Club of Atlanta and Taco Mac for letting us be a part of it. So we're going to give you guys a look-see here and watch this video. So nothing better than a bunch of strangers coming together for a common cause. Again, that was so much fun. Even that's a moment I'll never forget in my life. Just celebrating with a bunch of strangers. Got to know a lot of people around us. Got to talk to a lot of good people, Notre Dame alum and just Notre Dame fans. They actually, I don't know if I told you this, Micah, they get together at that restaurant for every game and they have a watch party. So a lot of them knew each other already. And here we are from South Bend, Indiana. So we score. What are you thinking?
That we played very physical that first drive, and if any of you guys play college football, Riley Leonard was going to be on that wear and tear eventually, and I thought we had a good chance at just contending with them the whole game, and it's going to go back and forth.
Set a very physical tone, and the running game was so strong that it couldn't help but set up the passing game. To be expected, Ohio State gets the ball next, and they go down the field and score rather easily. You could tell our defense need to get settled in, and that's kind of been a theme throughout the year. That first drive, you kind of see how things go. If we get a stop, that's fantastic. We'll pretty much unlock the rest of the game. But if they score, we make adjustments, and we get back after it. Well, then came our second and third offensive possession, and those were not pretty.
What are those total? -4 yards, both of those?
-4 yards, definitely not positive yardage. 3 and out on both. We just looked foolish. Self-imposed errors. We had a false start. We had a holding, legal procedure. We just looked like we didn't know how to play football. And then on each of those possessions, Ohio State answered, and we went into the half trailing 21-7. So Micah, halftime, things are a little quiet at Taco Mac. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was over in my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to come back because I knew Ohio State was going to come out firing, and I thought Al Golden was going to switch to zone defense because Jeremiah Smith, he still had a good game.
Yeah, I had the same doubts you did, but the thing that kept me in it was what we've witnessed over the course of this whole season. I think a key word for our team, and we've heard it many times to describe the Notre Dame football team this year, is resilient. I think there was something in the locker room that if anybody was to say, what if this happens? What if this happens? And Marcus Freeman would shift that narrative to even if that happens. Even if somebody gets hurt, even if we have a penalty, we are going to overcome. And I was just thinking of that, and I know they were saying it on the sideline. And so I had a hunch that we could get back in it. But then the first possession of the third quarter happens. Ohio State gets the ball. We didn't own the middle 8 like we like to do. That in 4 minutes ending the second quarter and the 4 minutes starting the third quarter, we like to be in control and impose our will there. And it didn't happen this game. In fact, Ohio State came down and scored right away. All of a sudden, 28-7. Thinking the same thing, Micah?
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
5 plays, 75 yards in 2 minutes.
It wasn't pretty. Now, that being said, credit to the defense there. They largely locked in. Again, some back and forth, some punting, a little field goal from Ohio State, and all of a sudden it's 31-7. And we're chasing. We're chasing points. Thankfully, that wasn't the end of the story because Riley Leonard throws a beautiful pass to Jaden Greathouse.
Who it's a really good spin move too.
Oh my gosh. On the basically the second best safety in the nation behind Xavier Watts. So it was really cool to see him break out in this game. He was our top receiving guy, over 100 yards on 6 receptions. So it was really exciting. Again, 31-14, or pardon me, we went for 2 at that point. So it was 31-15 on a beautiful shovel pass to Jeremiah Love. Credit as well in this game to James Rendell, our Aussie punter. He nailed his punts. There wasn't one bad punt all day. And if there was a day when we needed to flip the field, this was it. That wasn't it from Jaden Greathouse. On our next possession, Greathouse has a 30-yard touchdown reception and beautiful one-handed catch over the shoulder. I might have those flip-flopped. Was the one-handed catch first, or was the shake and bake? I'm drawing a blank. Somebody in the chat want to let us know because we're drawing a blank right now. But whatever the case, 2 beautiful catches and moves from Jaden Greathouse. And again, another 2-point conversion, which I thought Faison, it was a toss right.
Jack Sawyer was right there.
I thought for sure he was going down. I didn't know it was a pass. I mean, Faison sold it for that long. I was like, well, so much for the 2-point conversion. And then he pops up and little pop pass to Bo Collins and put us right up there, 31-23. And at this place, the joint at Taco Mac, I can't imagine what it was like in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It was getting hype in there again. It was getting wild.
When did Mixketer miss that field goal?
That was our next possession. No. That was back before we went to 31-15. So, Mitch Jeter missed the field goal. What was your thought on that, on the missed field goal?
Well, he was doing really good all season, and he just hit it left. But wasn't the play clock going down?
It was rushed. It was a rushed snap. I don't know how on a, basically a 30-yard field goal you get behind on the play clock like that and have to rush. I don't know if there was discussion. I know it was 4th and 9. I'm sure Freeman and his analytics people were talking about what to do. Maybe they just spent a little bit too much time discussing because the kick was rushed and Jeter pulled it left and the big doink off the upright. So anyway, all that being said, we're chasing 31-23 and we need to stop. We're getting down towards the end of the game. And again, the way this team has battled all year, I'm expecting a turnover. I'm expecting a stop. It's 3rd and 11. And thank you, Travis. Spin move was the first touchdown over the shoulder. One-handed grab was the second touchdown from Jaden Greathouse. Somebody watched the game and took notes. So we got to get a stop. 3rd and 11. This is it. If we can stop them, we're going to get the ball back and have an opportunity to tie. Micah, what were your thoughts before that play happened? What were you thinking?
I don't really remember what I was thinking, but I was probably thinking we're going to stop them right here. And that's kind of what I thought.
Yep. I, for one, was in agreement with the call, sell out on the run.
Oh, I remember what
bring
happened
the
here.
pressure. But unfortunately, we couldn't get pressure all night long. And
RJ Oben.
Yep. RJ Oben was, well, never mind. I'll save my opinions on that for another time. But anyway, Jeremiah Smith's one-on-one with Christian Gray. And again, without the pressure, Will Howard sees the single coverage. And at that, gave him space, gave him basically 8 yards off the line, didn't even try to give him pressure or bump and run or anything like that. And Will Howard just took a step back and threw it up. And next thing you know, they get the first down, and that pretty much does us in. They get a 33-yard field goal, and that puts things out of reach.
Real quick, so I'm pretty sure on the replay I saw Rod Hurd fell down, and Xavier Watts dropped to the middle. So Xavier Watts should have been.
So he was covering on the underneath. Rod Hurd was covering the underneath route, and Rod Hurd fell, and Xavier Watts, instead of going back to help out Christian Gray, had to run up on the play. And again, Christian Gray, we love him. He's had some tough times this season that have just been on a big stage, but 95% of the time, he's on lock. Him and Leonard Moore next year are going to be a fantastic duo on the outside at cornerback, and I can't wait to see what they do. I don't care if anybody wants to talk trash about Christian Gray. I will defend him until.
I was one of them people.
Yeah, I defended him.
Okay.
I'll defend you one day too, son. So anyway, all that being said, that was it. We had opportunities. We made a fierce comeback. Micah, now that the game's over, tell me a little bit about your thoughts about being in the national championship game and how you felt after.
At that point, I was just glad that we were there. When we faced Georgia, I had my doubts, and then we beat them. And I already knew we were going to beat Penn State because knowing Penn State, they're going to choke. And I came into this game.
Even during that first half?
My thoughts were a little weird in the first half.
It was tough. We came back.
Yeah, but then we got to the national championship, and I knew it was going to be close. It was either going to be a close game or it was not going to be close at all. And at that point, I was just glad to be there.
Yep. Yeah, we can't say enough good things about this 2024 team. Again, probably the difference between this and the 2012 team. The 2012 national championship runner-up team, it was miracle after miracle after miracle after stroke of luck after stroke of luck all season long. Like we could have easily been 8-4 or 7-5 that season instead of 12-0. And this team this year, I mean, obviously we had the Northern Illinois loss and we had some close calls, but by and large, we dominated every team when it comes down to it. It's just a completely different tone. And let's talk about Riley Leonard for a minute. It was his last game. I am just so impressed at I can say kid because I'm pretty much twice his age now. Man, that's weird. Number one, his leadership, how he speaks about his faith and comes out front forward with that. And just the way that he battled all season long through some really difficult times. I'm sure he's questioning himself. But Micah, what are your thoughts on Riley Leonard this year?
I came into the season thinking I didn't really watch much of Riley Leonard. Like I thought
we watched the one game last year.
Duke. Yeah, I thought he was a really good passing quarterback. I knew he could run, and I thought he was just a really good multi-threat quarterback. So when we came into the season, I didn't really pay much attention to him in the Texas A&M game. And then in the NIU game, my thoughts just, what did we miss on him? Why is his throwing so bad? His legs were perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. They were fine all season. It was just his arm that was affecting us in that first game or the first home game. Yeah. And it did grow better throughout the season.
He improved.
And I do want to say that a lot of people were saying Riley Leonard couldn't throw the ball and Will Howard was going to smoke him in that category, but Riley Leonard won. He had 255 passing yards, and Will Howard had 231 passing yards. Granted that Riley Leonard did throw 6. What is that?
9 incomplete passes. Is that what you're talking about?
22 minus 17. Oh, that's 5. He did throw 5 more passes than Will Howard, but
this isn't a math podcast. This is a Notre Dame football podcast. So, but yeah, granted, he had to throw some more, and Will Howard just had the weapons around him. He could throw up a couple balls and people are going to catch him. Whereas Riley Leonard had to work harder and his receivers had to work harder to make catches happen. So, yeah, just can't say enough good things about Riley Leonard and how he became a Notre Dame man just overnight. I think he will go down in history as one of the Notre Dame greats, even though it might not show in wins, although 14 wins in a season is the most any NotreAme team has had, but not gonna get Ian Book for his season or his record for all-time wins. So the game's over. We're packing up. I did want to say one thing about we'll talk about the Dad and Lad podcast, a father and a son in Taco Mac, over just not far from us. Were 2 Ohio State fans, the only 2 Ohio State fans in the whole joint, and they were standing the whole time. They didn't get seats because I guess we're not that nice of people, but there literally was not a seat in the house. Everybody was standing. But I stopped on my way to use the restroom. On my way back, I should say. I did wash my hands, shook their hands, and at this point, they were killing us. I think it was still the 28-7. I was like, hey, you guys are having a great year. You deserve this. And, man, if they weren't the coolest fans, Ohio State fans.
Ohio State fans suck. Usually.
By and large, yes. In general, I would say 90% of them suck. Those 2 guys, again, a father and a son in Atlanta, they were probably in that next stage of life from us. So son had graduated, I believe, from Ohio State and was in the workforce. And it looked like Dad was close to retirement if he wasn't already. I invited them on the podcast. We'll see if they can join us or not. Love to have a conversation with them. But just the nicest guys. Good to meet some new people. Last year at the Ohio State game at Notre Dame Stadium, we had 2 Ohio State fans next to us. And again, couldn't say anything better about those guys.
They were pretty cool.
Maybe we lucked out. Again, they were realists when it comes to Ohio State instead of those dreamers that most of the Ohio State fans are. I can't say a whole lot right now. They just won a national championship, so they can dream all they want because it's largely reality. Okay, so the game's over. We are driving home or driving back to our family's house in Clemson country outside Greenville, South Carolina. That was a long drive home. Super tired. I am so glad we took an extra day down there. We didn't turn around and come home on Tuesday. We were worthless on Tuesday. Man, we must have taken 47 naps. Fireplace was going, and there was snow on the ground at that point in Atlanta. We saw on the news, and I heard all the horror stories about the Atlanta airport and 4-hour-long security lines, and they were not prepared for this. Again, our experience being pretty local to the venue was superb. We enjoyed our time. So game's over. We're moving on. It was such a memorable season. Micah, probably the most memorable season in your 10 years of attending games, I'd say, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most games you've attended too, honestly.
Well, I attended all of them last year too.
Okay. Well,
besides the Boston College.
Yeah. Well, we went to the Purdue game this year. That was an extra one. But when Micah was a wee lad, a 5-year-old, he got to go to a game or two, and then as he grew up and matured in his Notre Dame fandom, he earned the rights to more tickets. Sorry, Aaron. Sorry, Jonathan. Sorry, anybody else that used to go with me on the regular. He's got your ticket. So it's been nonstop since we got back.
Wait, can we talk about the stadiums real quick that we stopped at?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So on our way home to Indiana, it's kind of on our way. Some places we had never stopped before being in there. We stopped at Clemson University and we stopped at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and checked out their stadiums.
Both of them had wide open gates.
Yep.
So
every stadium we visit, except for Notre Dame Stadium, a gate is open somewhere. I don't know if they do that on purpose because they want to get us or what, but nevertheless, we weren't so bold at Clemson's stadium.
I went and he stayed in the car.
Yeah, I was nervous. Let him take the stun gun or whatever. What's that? Taser. Yeah, it's only going to hurt for a minute. You'll be fine. But man, Clemson kind of in the middle of nowhere, although the university is vast and spread out wide. Really neat place to see a football game. Got to see Howard's Rock and the hill they run down and the size of that stadium.
Can't say it looks a lot bigger on TV than it does.
It
actually
does.
is.
Yeah, that's typical. I think you can say that for Notre Dame Stadium too, but I don't know. It's the last time we watched.
Mom said Oregon's gates weren't open. Oh. But we asked to go on the field.
We did, and we got to go on the field.
Yeah.
The University of Oregon was more than hospitable to us when we went out and visited there, the home of Marcus Mariota, who just dumped millions of dollars into that university among everybody else that's dumped millions of dollars. So then we get to Knoxville. What are your thoughts on the University of Tennessee Neyland Stadium?
That stadium was tall, like really, really tall.
That's probably the biggest stadium I've ever seen.
And of course, there was gate open, so I walked straight in there.
I went in there that one too.
Yeah. Took a quick video and we basically had the whole stadium to ourselves.
Yeah, we could have gone down on the field and ran a 40, and I would have beat him again. Anyway. Yeah, so really cool. I didn't realize Neyland Stadium is right in the heart of Knoxville.
It's crowded.
I know when they beat, was it Alabama?
Yeah.
They took the goalpost down.
Saw that.
And it's literally right across the street. You throw it in the river. And I guess that's what you do when you beat Alabama. But yeah, there's a lot of construction. And at the time we were there, it was maybe noon. And students were all over the place. So it was a little chaotic on campus. But good to see those two places in person once and for all.
They were rocking Notre Dame structures,
too.
too.
We had them going, too. No hate our way. I fully expected a choice finger or something our way. But wasn't the case. And I appreciated that. So, yeah. And then we got back, what was it, late Wednesday night? We had licked our wounds. We moved on. And unfortunately, the news just kept coming. So, we're going to move on from the national championship and how great that was, even though we didn't come out on top, to there's been a lot of movement in the last 4 days as far as the team goes. We've had transfers out. We just lost, I think, maybe about 2 hours before we went live here. Our general manager, Chad Bowden, pretty much stabbed us in the back and went to who?
USC.
Oh my gosh, University of Southern Cal, in the same role. So for those of you that don't know Chad Bowden, he's our general manager and talent acquisition director, and him and Marcus Freeman go back years. They've been friends for years, and I'm just floored. I'm just floored that he would. It's one thing to go to Arkansas or Florida, but to go to your arch rival. USC knew what they were doing too in this position. Rumor has it it's a 7-figure income, which Notre Dame was a little far off from that. I don't know if they matched it. There's still a whole lot to be found out there. But that news blew me away more than all the other news that we've heard. Now, the other big news, it's really not a surprise. Defensive coordinator Al Golden moving on to be the same position, the defensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, I don't have a favorite NFL team, but I like Al Golden enough. I think I can cheer for some Bengals. Who
Not
day?
me.
Who day? Who dat? Who day? Right? Is that what it is? Yeah.
I'm a Colts fan, so
Yeah, he's a Colts fan. Anywhere Notre Dame guys are, that's what I follow. But I'm gonna be rooting for the Bengals this year. So not a surprise. We kind of knew days ahead that the Bengals had reached out, and it was kind of his desire to get back to the NFL. You don't have to deal with recruiting and all that good stuff and talent retention. It's strictly football. So, Micah, who do you think is going to be the new defensive coordinator? Who do you want to be the new defensive coordinator?
I don't really know. I mean,
I'll tell you exactly who I want.
Mike
Mickens. So he's our secondaries coach. He's been at Notre Dame 5 years now. He actually came on staff when Brian Kelly was still here his last year.
So I guess he kind of deserves it.
He does. The way he's developed talent and scouted talent, he just has a great mind. And now Golden has spoken very highly of him to the point to where he would make a lot of calls in the secondary. So it's not uncommon for him to make defensive calls already. Another name that's come up, Jim Leonard, right?
Where's he? I don't know.
Ohio State's defensive coordinator. I got that wrong. It's escaping me right now. Hey Travis, what's the name of the Ohio State defensive coordinator who obviously had his way with us? I don't know why his name has come up that he's looking to leave Ohio State. I don't know why he would. You got a top defense in the country. You have all the resources available. You never know if there's some personnel issues going on. Maybe I can't imagine having to get along with Ryan Day. Can you imagine? Like, he probably makes his assistants come up and use a Sharpie to fill in his beard just so he doesn't have to do it. I can see him doing that totally. Yeah, that's probably why the defensive coordinator from Ohio State might want to leave. There's been some names floated around, but honestly, Mike Mickens, who's on staff already, man, he has earned his stripes. And Freeman himself has said Mickens is going to be ready to be a defensive coordinator here in the next season or two, and that season's now. So I say, Marcus Freeman, let's get it done, and then let's hire a safeties coach and move on and keep the continuity from coaching group to coaching group. So we've also had some transfers out of the program. We knew those were coming. It was really cool to see that nobody transferred before the season was over.
Jaden Mickey.
Oh, well, one's during the season. That's different. So we had 3 transfer out at the beginning of the season, basically Jaden Mickey, Tyson Ford, and Aiden Gabira. Those, they declared a long time ago. They basically quit on the season and moved on. But the ones that have come out in the last 4 days, we kind of knew could be possible. Starting with the wide receivers, Jaden Thomas and Deion Colsey, both had roles this year. Jaden Thomas more of a pass catching role than Jim Knowles. Thank you, Travis. Back to the Ohio State defensive coordinator. Katie too. She looked it up on the old YouTubes, I guess, or the Googles. Good job. Moving on from that, yeah. So both receivers are going to get their degree this spring, and they're going to move on to play their last year at a place where they're probably going to get some more playing time. Some of the talent coming in, both in the freshman class and in the transfer portal, probably going to take their playing time. Micah, your thoughts on those two receivers? Anything?
I have and Jaden Thomas and
and Deion Colsey.
Wasn't Jaden Thomas our number one receiver last year? It was him or Faison.
I would say Faison, but Thomas was right there. That mean we didn't have much to choose from. So
well, Jaden Thomas, he did play a good role, and even Deion Colsey too, even though he had one touchdown catch this season.
Yeah.
Against Florida State.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of all I got. Jaden Thomas was a good off-ball receiver.
Yeah,
but
we loved him as a player. Both those guys. I mean, honestly, they could have dipped and gone somewhere else years before. But number one, that Notre Dame degree is worth the time and effort. And then they're going to get a shot in the NFL. I mean, it might be as a free agent, but they can get some more playing time, get some more on film for that next season. And then the offensive line exodus. Rocco Spindler, Pat Coogan, Sam Pendleton, Ty Chan. I believe the only one of those that's an underclassman is Sam Pendleton.
He committed to Tennessee today.
He's going to Tennessee.
He has 3 years left.
Yeah, so I think everybody else is going to be getting their degree this spring. I might be mistaken on one of those, but again, Rocco and Pat Coogan, those guys stepped up big this year. We wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for those guys. Pat Coogan, I mean, some of the coolest hype videos I've ever seen. Can't repeat a single word live on air. But man, if they didn't make you want to run through a brick wall, we are going to miss that leadership next year. But what those guys are seeing is, again, the talent coming in and the talent coming up. We're going to be so much more physical and athletically gifted. So those guys are looking to go somewhere where, again, they can maybe get a graduate degree, maybe get a master's, and then get a lot more playing time and some film on tape for the NFL scouts that are coming. Let's talk about that offensive line real quick. My opinion, offensive line next year, left tackle, Garby Lambert, center, Anthony Knapp, right tackle, Emil Wagner, right guard, Charles Yagusaw, and left guard, Billy Schrouth. We got it?
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be it, right?
Probably.
We didn't even say Will Black, the highly touted 5-star freshman coming in. Word on the street is he can come in and start immediately. And I let the powers that be.
Is he a left tackle?
He is now, yeah. I think he's projected at left tackle. Super athletic, big guy. But I think our average height at that point on the offensive line is going to be 6'5", if not 6'6", probably 315 to 330 pounds. We'll be far and above where we were this year. Even if we didn't have injuries, we weren't going to match what our offensive line is going to look like next year. So I'm really excited. We're got all sorts of offseason talk about what that looks like. But nevertheless, all these departing people, which the transfer portal was open for 5 days following the national championship game for Ohio State and Notre Dame, so those players could look for their next stop if necessary. So at this point, things have largely calmed down. That should be about it. We'll have spring practice, and usually following spring practice and the spring game, you'll see a few more transfers as well as the depth chart kind of levels out with some of those early enrollees, and people might look after that semester to go to what's next. Micah, that's a lot. We covered a lot of stuff tonight, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Anything else you want to hit?
We're going to talk about the incoming transfers.
We can talk about some incoming transfers, yeah. Why don't you hit those up?
So starting off, 2 receivers, we got Malachi Fields from Virginia and Will Pauling from Wisconsin. And then a tight end, Ty Washington from Arkansas. Malachi Fields, 808 yards, 55 catches this year with 5 touchdowns.
He would have been our high man this year, and he didn't even have near the offensive team that Notre Dame offered this year. So he's going to get 1,000 yards next year. Let's just say that right now.
Okay. And
He's
then
going
we
to
have
get 1,000 yards this year. I just said that right now.
oh
I was
okay
being stupid. Go on.
okay, and we have Will Pauling from Wisconsin, 407 yards, 42 catches, and he had 3 touchdowns this season. And then we have Ty Washington, 2 catches, 25 yards, 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, that
I don't
acquisition is, I don't know. He's a
Mitch,
depth piece.
Mitchell Evans staying, right?
He's done.
Is this his senior?
I do believe he's done. Yep.
Oh.
And Xavier Watts. Real quick.
Oh, Morrison,
Yeah, let's talk about those guys.
Watts,
Xavier Watts,
and Howard Cross today.
Howard Cross. We know Riley Mills is going to announce at some point here, and then Benjamin Morrison. Those 4 guys, specifically Watts and Morrison, going to go down as all-time Notre Dame defensive greats. We're going to be talking about them the same way we talk about Chris Zorich and Mike Stonebreaker and those guys of the early days, and Vontez Duff, in my opinion. But man, just what can we say? I mean, are they your favorite defensive players ever?
Benjamin Morrison is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do on the next level. And then, yeah, obviously Howard Cross and Riley Mills moving on, guys that came an extra year. They didn't have to come back, but they wanted to see what this team could do, and it was worth it.
Is
in my
Jack
opinion.
Kaiser? Wait, Jack Kaiser.
He's
Is he
done.
gonna declare for the draft?
Yeah, and if he hasn't already,
I don't. He hasn't yet.
No, but he will. He will. Mitch Jeter, he declared for the draft. We'll see what happens there. Notre Dame kickers have somewhat fared well.
Schrader's
over
on the
years.
Chiefs now.
Yep. Blake Groupie still
Starter
kicking.
for the Saints.
And then Brandon Aubrey, who didn't kick in college, and somehow we missed him. Went to Notre Dame and one of the best kickers in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys. So, Micah, talk about the defensive transfers we got coming in.
So we got Jared Dawson from Louisville. He had 19 tackles, 4 sacks. Elijah Hughes.
Hughes. Yeah.
From USC.
Bingo.
6 tackles, tackle for loss, and 1 sack. And then we have safety Jalen Strawman from Virginia Tech, 55 tackles, 2 breakups.
Big time.
That was 2023. He had an injury.
He was out last year. I think that's going to be your starting safety next to Adon Schuler. Oh, by the way, we got wings for lunch when we were in Atlanta. Some random wing joint, all Ohio State fans. And who walks in but Adon Schuler's entire family? Mom, aunt, cousin, super nice people. I had to make sure we give them a go Irish and express our, I don't know, just how much we appreciated Don Schuler growing up under the tutelage of Xavier Watts this year.
We also got a Devontae Smith from Alabama.
Probably going to play nickel next year. That's a big pickup. Going to take Jordan Clark's spot now that he's moving on as well. Oh, man. Every one of these seniors has something that we could share about just how special they were. Jordan Clark coming in here, a guy who probably doesn't need, I mean, his dad played in the NFL. Well, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. His dad works for ESPN now. Doesn't need a paycheck. He just wanted a great football experience and wanted to come to Notre Dame. And I think he and I think Ryan tweeted something the other day. He's like, my life is completely changed because my son played at Notre Dame and I got to see what that was all about. Super cool to see.
And then we got a kicker, Noah Burnett.
That's Burnett, my friend.
Burnett from North Carolina. 15 for 21 field goals and 38 for 39 extra points.
Sure, whatever. He's a kicker.
Hey.
Oh, you said you're not playing this year.
I'm not, but I still played kicker.
Okay. If you were playing, you'd be kicking.
Kicker. Yeah.
Then I'd say, yes, a kicker. Fantastic. Yeah, good stuff. Well, we have a lot to cover. Again, we're going to go live about every other week, maybe more if something crazy happens. I don't need anything crazy to happen for a little while. I need a breather.
I'm tired
from all this Notre Dame craziness. But hey, real quick, just want to give a shout out to some of the people in our chat here. Aunt Teresa down in Chiefs country. Thanks for joining us. They cheer for the Chiefs, and it's so easy to cheer for the Chiefs right now.
Well, I don't call them bandwagon because they live like, what do you think?
Her and Uncle Paul have been fans since I've known them. Yeah. So Yeah, not
They're
bandwagon.
not bandwagons.
Not bandwagon. So, yeah, and then there's your mom who helped us out looking up the Ohio State defensive coordinator.
Good job, Mom.
Yep. Travis helped us out as well, and then reminded us that Jim Leonard was the DC at Wisconsin, and it seems like his name comes up every time there's a defensive coordinator position open. So, as we get ready to wrap up today, again,
real quick,
I'm not wrapping up
Miami.
yet.
We're playing Miami.
Is that
August
Spanish?
August 21st, I think.
29 or 31st.
31st.
Yeah.
Miami on Sunday at 7.
Labor Day weekend. So Labor Day is Monday the 1st, and we got the Sunday night 7:30 slot for our season opener, which we'll have plenty to talk about with the Carson Beck-led Hurricanes of Miami. I personally don't think it's going to be close. I'm just going to say that right now.
And for anyone that says we don't have a hard schedule ever,
it's going to be rough.
At Arkansas, Texas A&M, Miami, Boise State,
Purdue. Oh, I'm glad we can laugh. Oh boy. Yeah. USC, which at this point we're out for blood against USC this year. So, again, we'll have a lot to talk about as far as what we foresee in the 2025 regular season over the course of this offseason. So, again, if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you can give us a like, a share, a follow, we just want to be able to let you know when we're going live. I'm going to talk Notre Dame content. Dad and the Lad talking about Notre Dame football. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. Share that with your friends, and we'd love to just keep in contact with you all. Again, we're trying to hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't yet, bounce over to our YouTube page, search the Dad and Lad podcast, and you'll see us there. Give us a subscribe so we can get to 100. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Are we good for tonight, Micah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, with that, I'm the Dad.
And I'm the Lad.
And this is the Dad and Lad podcast. Have a great day.